Hello guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Roxanne. If it's your first time here, then welcome. Today I want to talk to you guys about the books that I read in December of 2017. So I wanted to get the end of year and sort of beginning of year videos out. So I just gave priority to those, so I'm only just getting around to filming this, but I definitely wanted to still get it up for you guys so that you could hear my thoughts on some of the books that or on all of the books that I read last month. Is Hercule Poirot's Christmas by Agatha Christie. I read this for obvious reasons. It's Christmas themed and I just thought it would be a really nice Christmas read, and that's exactly what it was. It was entertaining. It was kind of a mindless read. I enjoy all of Agatha Christie's books so far, so yeah, I think I gave this like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. It's nothing great, but it was very entertaining and it served its purpose. I read Helter Skelter, The True Story of the Manson Murders by Vincent Bugliosi with Kurt Gentry, and I really enjoyed this book. This is just another one in my true crime kick that I've been on lately, and I really enjoyed how thorough this book is. So Vincent Bugliosi is the prosecuting attorney in the Manson case, and so he tried the Charles Manson and the family, and so he has a very particular insight into everything that happened and the investigation and everything like that. And so it was so fascinating to hear his take on it, to see all of the steps that he took to make sure that he had a solid case. Because I mean, if you think about it, back in the late 60s that this was being tried in, you had to convince people that this guy like completely, like essentially took control of the minds of these mostly women and some men, made them believe that he was Jesus, that there was a race war that was going to start called Helter Skelter, that they were the chosen ones, desert, and they were the chosen ones, and after black people killed all of the white people, that then they would come out of hiding and they would then kill all the black people and essentially start a new race just with them. So it was a lot of things that you had to convince the jury of. And so he spoke to everyone many times. He tried to get as much information as he possibly could. And he had the help of, but also was hindered by the police departments, because if what he says is true, holy shit, were they inept. Oh my gosh. Like, just things that you would think are obvious, things that you should do, were not done. And he had to ask them many times to do the same thing. And I will admit that at times it is a bit like self-aggrandizing, but I feel that he was very genuine in trying to do a good job and in really caring about the victims and in trying to get these people put in jail where he felt they, you know, where they deserved to be. And it was frustrating to read all of the steps that he had to go above and beyond what the police were doing, because essentially, like, to hear him tell it, as soon as they were in custody, the police department felt their job was done. Like, there was like, okay, there was nothing else that we have to do, when you still have the entire job of convincing a jury and getting as much evidence as possible to convince a jury of what these people did. And they were like, well, isn't that your job? And so he really had to go out of his way to try and convince these people to keep helping them. Some of the evidence was found by like journalists, because the police wasn't investigating the things and wasn't doing the things that he was asking them to do. So I mean, I really enjoyed how detailed it was. He doesn't go really much into the lives of the victims, which is what the thing that I would say that goes against it, but I guess it was to be expected, even though I still wish it hadn't happened. It's to be expected just because of how famous and how completely out there Charles Manson and the family was, that in essence, he was treating you like the jury and was trying to convince you wholeheartedly of everything that Manson did. So it was very, very creepy, by the way, that I started reading this on the day that Charles Manson died. I'll just put that out there. That's creepy as fuck. Super enjoyed this. I would give this like a 4.75, and the only reason I'm not giving it a 5 stars is because I felt like not enough attention was paid to the victims, but like super solid, amazing true crime book for sure. I read my second Marisha Pessl, and it is Special Atomics and Calamity Physics. I've been reading this book since back in September, so I'm glad that I'm finally able to finish it.
Bless your soul.
So this book is so full of literary, historical, religious, pop culture references. There is like not a shortage of any of those. And it's essentially written like a thesis for a master's or a doctorate degree or something like that. And it's about this young girl named Blue. She's 17 years old, and she is the daughter of this very eccentric professor who moves around a lot, and it makes it essentially his life's work to teach her as much as possible and to make her as cultured as possible. So he teaches her languages, he teaches her all kinds of literature, he teaches her movie classics, music, all of this to try and get her to be the best student that she can be, and just one of the most educated girls of her age, so that she can go to a good school and essentially just make something really amazing of herself. So on her senior year of high school, he decides to settle down in an area where they have an elite high school, and she becomes involved with this sort of, not so much club, but group of kids under the guidance of a film teacher at the school. And so you go with her through the process of what it's like to become involved with this group. They don't really like her at first, and how she's able to more integrate herself into the club, the weird relationship that she has with the teacher, the relationship that she has with her father, who she is as a person, as a student, and then things go like very crazy. They kind of go bananas. So like there's murder, there is mayhem, there is secrets, there is conspiracies, and it takes a very Marisha Pessl turn. If you've read the Night film, then it's similar, but it's not. But it is that like Marisha Pessl-esque way of writing things and kind of weaving clues into stories and making them take very wild turns. It took me a while to get into this book, but once I did, I loved it. This was great. This was so entertaining for someone like me who loves like investigative things and creepy things and learning about conspiracies and all of this. This was my jam for sure. I love her writing. Like, this second book just confirms that I love Marisha Pessl. There's apparently like a YA book of hers coming out next year, which, you know, I'm not sure how her, I mean, this was about a young girl, except it wasn't written for like as a YA book. So I guess I'll see how she transitions into that type of writing. But I'm very excited to get more Marisha Pessl, because the things that she can come up with, she has a ridiculous imagination. Then I had a very, very good reading month in December. I read like a lot of just amazing books. My very first Sarah Waters, and that is The Paying Guest. This is about so if you know anything about Sarah Waters, is that she writes mostly, I think there might be like one or two exceptions, mostly books about with lesbian themes in them, and they're all historical fiction, and they're all really good, I hear. So this is the first one that I read of hers. I heard that this probably wasn't the best one to start with, but I'm actually, like, I didn't mind it. I went in with a very open mind, and I loved it. There is nothing about her writing that, like, you can't take it apart so much and say, oh my god, this is beautiful, like look at this sentence and look at this sentence. But overall, just cohesively looking at it as one whole picture, it's amazing. It is, her writing is amazing. It transports you, is atmospheric, and she is another example, similarly to Daphne du Maurier, who can write about characters who are not always likable but still make you care about their stories and still keep you tied to the page and really want to know what happens to them despite them not always being likable characters. So she still makes you care. It takes place shortly after World War One in England, in a town just outside of London, and it is about this woman who is, because she's like in her midst or maybe late 20s, she's considered to be, you know, an old maid or whatever. And so to help her family, or her mom, because she lost both of her brothers in the war, and then she recently also lost her father. So to help her mom and sort of the estate that they have, they decide to take in paying guests. So they rent out a part of the house and to this young couple, and it's essentially about the relationship that she begins to have with this couple. And if you know anything about Sarah Waters and what I just told you she writes about, then you can sort of guess where that story is going. If you are a person who doesn't like to read about cheating, then this is probably not the book for you. But it was, and that was, I don't like to read about that, but regardless, I still really love this book. And this is not an action-packed book. I don't think any of her books are going to be. It's a story about the characters. It's a story about what it's like to be a woman at that time, what the expectations were for your gender, what the expectations were from your family, what post World War One England was like, all of the veterans who are poor and are not being given jobs or being helped. They put their life on the line for their country and then are not being helped. So within this story about love and about going outside the social expectations for you or for them as women, it's social commentary for what was going on at the time. Our main character, Frances, is portrayed to be sort of ahead of her time. So she was a suffragette, but now she feels like she feels like she has to repress so many of her emotions and her opinions and her way of being and thinking to help her mom. And so it's about all of that. It's about how sometimes you have to put aside those things for family and the effect that that can have on you as a person. I gave this like a 4.5 out of 5 stars. I think I read one more thing. So I read Lucky Boy by Shanti Sekaram. That's what it looks like. The book made it onto my top books of 2017, so I'll link that up above and down below, where I talk about that. But it is essentially a book about a young immigrant Mexican woman and an Indian woman, and how their lives are connected by the love for this young boy. And it is heartbreaking. It is beautiful, beautiful writing. It explores the themes of immigration, family expectations, what a marriage is like, what sometimes this idea that a woman's life only takes on meaning when she's a mother, what it's like to be a mother, what that means, how that can manifest in different ways. It's a beautiful book. It is a gorgeous, gorgeous book. It is very diverse, and I recommend it because, oh my gosh, did it have me like just wanting to cry, to laugh, to throw things. I would just like go off into my own little world when I was listening to the audiobook for it, and I totally recommend it. I cannot stop talking about it. Please check it out. It is a beautiful, beautiful book, and I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I made it onto my top books of 2017. So those are all the books that I read in the month of December. Thank you all for watching and for listening. I love you guys very much. Let me know if you've read any of these and what you thought, what you read in the month of December. And yeah, I will link all my social media down below if you'd like to be friends with me there as well. Love you guys.